Welcome to the Harper Teen Podcast, a podcast for people who love to hear about books directly from the authors themselves. In the weeks to come, we have Meg Cabot, Sarah Shepard, Louise Renison, and many more. Visit harperteen.com for a complete list of upcoming podcasts.
Hi, I'm Michael Grant. I'm coming to you from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and I'm the author of Gone. So first off, let me thank you, for downloading this podcast. I appreciate that. And here's the idea behind Gone. One morning, for reasons that no one understands at first, every single person over the age of 15 disappears. All the parents, gone. Teachers, gone. No adults. No older teens. No cops. No firemen. You call 911, no one answers. You break your arm, you are on your own, man, because there are no doctors. And it's not just older kids who've been left alone. Toddlers, babies, the kids in daycare, all of them abandoned, all alone. There's no one to feed them, no one to care for them, no one to tuck them in at night. And the kids in Perdido Beach, California, which is where this happens, find themselves completely, totally alone. And it happens in a heartbeat. There's no warning. They discover that they're in a trap, kind of, an area just 20 miles across. There's no way in, there's no way out. The phones don't work. And the internet, it's as gone as the adults. So they are cut off. On the streets, you see cars that have just run off the road because, the adult drivers just disappeared while they were driving. Sometimes there would be kids as passengers in those cars when the drivers just, poofed. And here's the thing. Some of the kids are finding themselves changing in very dangerous, very unpredictable ways. The laws of nature have been rewritten in this area that the kids come to call the phase. Things are not normal. So, what is happening? The kids don't have a clue. So they're scared to death. They're desperate. They're lonely. Who's going to take care of the really little kids? How are kids going to get food? What's to stop the worst kids from taking over and just doing whatever they want? Well, they have no answers. The idea for Gone just kind of popped into my head. My wife is Katherine Applegate, who also writes books. In fact, we wrote a series called Animorphs together under the name K.A. Applegate. Anyway, we're sitting there, and I look over at her and give her about a 30-second description of this series, kind of like I just did with you, and she said, stop whatever else you're doing and write this. So I did. I usually write on my front porch, at least when the weather is nice. I kick my chair back, and I stick my feet up on the railing, and I open up my MacBook and type. And unfortunately, I never learned to type, the right way. So I type with just two fingers, unless, I'm really excited getting into the scene, then I can manage to, use a third finger occasionally. So here's a helpful hint if you're ever thinking about becoming a writer. Learn to type. I wish I had. Anyway, as I'm typing, as I'm writing, I usually listen to music. And I like the music to kind of match what I'm writing, sort of musical enhancement in my brain or whatever. So if I'm writing an action scene, I'll probably be listening to something kind of punk, maybe Ramones or Rancid or Green Day. So, and if it's a romantic scene, I might go a very different direction and listen to Lucinda Williams or even some Portuguese fado music or something like that to kind of catch the mood. Sometimes I kind of connect a particular song to a specific character. For example, I have a character, Drake, who is without a doubt the most evil, disturbed, psychopathic character in all of young adult literature. And I associate him with this Lars Fredriksson song called Mainlining Murder. You want me to sing a little? No? No, you don't. When I start a book, I never know for sure how it's going to end. I deliberately don't want to know. I mean, it's like life. You don't really want to know the ending, do you? I mean, if you know how everything is going to come out, well, then it's boring, right? So I like not knowing for sure. It lets the characters, be more real. So if I work out every detail in advance, well, then my characters just have to march along and do whatever I've told them to do. And I don't want that. I want the characters to become so real that they're telling me how the story is going to go. And I think, and I hope, that makes it more surprising for the readers. See, the thing is, the readers are smart people, so they know the rules. So if I'm following the rules, the readers can think, oh, well, I can tell what he's going to do next. And I don't want you knowing what the characters are going to do next. I don't know what they're going to do next. So I'm sitting there and I'm typing away like crazy and going, no way, no way, because sometimes I cannot believe I've just been forced to do something horrible to one of the characters. And, sadly, horrible things do happen. I mean, I guess, some people would think you take away every adult and the kids who are all alone. Well, they like sit around all day, every day for months and months, catching up on their homework. See, I don't think so. I don't think kids are that innocent. The bullies don't suddenly stop bullying. On the contrary, without adults, they get a lot worse, a lot more dangerous. So, you think about a world where everything is the same, except there are no adults at all. You realize, well, you know what? There'll still be baseball bats and guns, won't there? I mean, there'll still be cars and drugs and alcohol. So the really good kids will step up and become heroes. And that's what Sam and Astrid and Adelio do. But the bad kids will get a whole lot more troublesome. And that's where Cain and Drake and Diana come in. In the center of this town, of Perdido Beach, there's the plaza. And in a corner of that plaza, the kids make a graveyard. And that's sort of the report card for life in Perdido Beach. At the end of each book, how many new graves have been dug. So Gone isn't a happy little fairy tale after all. Gone will give you the creeps sometimes. Gone will bother a lot of readers. It's been bothering the adults who've read it. But I didn't write Gone in order to help you fall asleep at night. There are characters like Sam or Astrid that you'll admire. And there are characters like Quinn who will disappoint you. There are characters like Drake who will give you nightmares. And there's action. I mean, crazy action, because I love an action scene. But there's also, romance, and some of it kind of sweet and some of it just, strange. And every now and then there'll be some serious idea for you to think about, but not too much of that, because mostly I just want to give you a really great roller coaster ride. What I want is for you, the reader, to be so caught up that you cannot put the book down. I want you snapping through those pages. I want you up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a flashlight in your bedroom, snapping through those pages. That's my goal. Anyway, it'll be up to you to tell me if I've succeeded. And here is the first chapter of Gone. Gone, Chapter 1. Time remaining, 299 hours, 54 minutes. 1 minute, the teacher was talking about the Civil War, and the next minute, he was gone. There, gone. No poof, no flash of light, no explosion. Sam Temple was sitting in third period history class, staring blankly at the blackboard, but far away in his head. In his head, he was down at the beach, him and Quinn. Down at the beach with their boards, yelling, bracing for that first plunge into cold Pacific water. For a moment, he thought he'd imagined it, the teacher disappearing. For a moment, he thought he'd slipped into a daydream. Sam turned to Mary Terrafina, who just sat to his left. You saw that, right? Mary was staring hard at the place where the teacher had been. Where's Mr. Trentlake? It was Quinn, Sam's best, maybe only friend. Quinn sat right behind Sam. The two of them favored window seats because sometimes, if you caught just the right angle, you could actually see a tiny sliver of sparkling water between the school buildings and the homes beyond. He must have left, Mary said, not sounding like she believed it. Adelio, a new kid Sam found potentially interesting, said, No, man, poof. He did a thing with his fingers that was a pretty good illustration of the concept. Kids were staring at each other, craning necks this way and that, giggling nervously. No one was scared. No one was crying. The whole thing seemed kind of funny. Mr. Trentlake poofed? Said Quinn with a suppressed giggle in his voice. Hey, someone said. Where's Josh? Heads turned to look. Was he here today? Yes, he was here. He was right here next to me. Sam recognized the voice. Betty. Bouncing Betty. He just, disappeared, Betty said. Just like Mr. Trentlake. The door to the hallway opened. Every eye locked on it. Mr. Trentlake was going to step in, maybe with Josh, and explain how he'd pulled off this magic trick, and then get back to talking in his excited, strained voice about the Civil War nobody cared about. But it wasn't Mr. Trentlake. It was Astrid Ellison, known as Astrid the Genius, because she was a genius. Astrid was in all the AP classes the school had. In some subjects, she was taking online courses from the university. Astrid had shoulder-length blonde hair and liked to wear starched white short-sleeved blouses that never failed to catch Sam's eye. Astrid was out of his league. Sam knew that. But there was no law against thinking about her. Where's your